Hey guys, so what I'm doing right now is I'm getting ready for my electrical. So yesterday or the day before, we spliced our main electrical line that's running by the house. We had one that was going down to my shop, so we cut into that, brought it into the panel. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just about to start wiring. So here are the plans that I drew for my electrical. They're pretty simple. We have two kids' bedrooms and a bathroom, and the master bedroom, master bath, laundry, master closet, pantry, great room, and then also we have a porch. This has changed slightly. We actually have 3 fans and 6 lights, but just a minor thing. So I'll just quickly talk about what we're doing. So I'll just have all my boxes laid out here. We're using all Steel City boxes, which are good. They're high quality, made in America boxes. We're not doing any plastic stuff. You can see some of these have tabs and some of these don't. For example, here's a 3-gang with tabs, and here's a 3-gang without. These 3 gangs that have the tabs, I'm putting these on the interior walls, and these ones that don't have any tabs are actually going to be on the exterior walls. So we walk over here. So you can imagine the box is going to be probably at this height on the wall. It won't be a metal box like this. I'm going to be building walnut boxes for these. And then it's actually going to be a copper conduit that comes out the bottom. It will be an exposed conduit, but that's kind of, I could have cut it. One way to do it is to cut your lines, chisel a line in the rock, or the other option is just to do an exposed conduit. I think it would look cool with like a copper exposed conduit, and over time it will patina and start to look old, and I think it'll look good. And that conduit is actually going to go into a baseboard, but I can talk about that in a later video. And here are the plates we're using. Okay, so these are not typical plates. I'm sure some people watching this video have seen these and some people haven't. These are old switch plates that were used in like turn of the century homes up until around the 1940s, I think. So old light switches, there's 2 kinds of light switches that are used today, right? There's the toggle switch, and then there's like the rocker switch, the big paddle. So back when they first started doing electrical in homes, they were using these sorts of switches here. And I have one. So, your switch would actually look like this, and it'd have 2 buttons. So these plates are antique. I've restored them, but I wasn't able to find all antique plates, so we did get some new plates, some 2-gang. We got some 3-gang. These are really, all these new plates we got are really nice. They're really heavy. You can see how thick they are. They're really heavy brass. And 3-gang, 4-gang, and 5-gang. So we have 1 5-gang. The biggest size that I was able to find for antique plates was 3-gang. I haven't seen any antique, like original push-button plates that are larger than 3-gang. Maybe they exist, but they're probably pretty rare. So that's what we're doing for light switches. For receptacles, we're using all brass plates as well. You can't have a brass receptacle, but we have like brass colored receptacles. They're still plastic though. So that's what we're doing there. These are all my fan boxes, and then you can see that we have a bunch of these. So these are used for wall mount sconces as well as ceiling mount. So we're not doing any can lights in this house. Everything will be either a sconce or a pendant. So that's why we have so many of these. So anyway, I'm going to start wiring right now, and then I'll give an update in a little bit. Okay guys, what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of roughing in the electrical for my receptacles on my stone walls. So how I'm doing it is I just come off of a plug over there. I go into the stud, and I just drilled this PVC pipe into the stud, so it just meets into the stud. So then the PVC comes over here, and then it turns into copper. And basically what I'm doing on it is, I still didn't measure it, but it's gonna have some sort of angle piece like this, and then it's gonna run up, and then I'm gonna have a conduit box, and then I'm gonna build these conduit boxes out of walnut. So I have a thin, like 1/4 inch walnut planks, and I'm gonna build a box. So it's gonna sit on the stone and the copper is gonna come out of it. I'll have my baseboards here. So it'll be a fat baseboard, and the way we're gonna do it, and actually, I was originally gonna cut wood and scribe it to fit along this rough edge. We were in town at a new restaurant that opened that was retrofitted. They had taken an old German stone building and they had retrofitted it, and it became like this nice Italian restaurant. So what we're gonna do is, I actually saw what they did and I liked it better. They had their baseboard that comes up, and then they just filled behind their whole baseboard with mortar. So you can imagine you'll have my baseboard out here. It'll be fat. It'll probably come out to here. And then on the inside, it'll be filled up with mortar. I think that'll look better because if you cut along this rough wall, like especially over here, wood, you have a dark stained wood against this light wall, and it's gonna accentuate all this unevenness in the wood. You know, you'll see like all these cuts and stuff. If you do a baseboard and just fill it with mortar, it kind of doesn't accentuate that variance in the wall. So that's the way I'm going to do it. So this PVC and all these copper pieces that I'm putting in are going to be behind the baseboard, covered in mortar, so you'll never see them. And then it's going to come up to here, and then you'll see the receptacle here and maybe just a few inches of the copper below the receptacle, and then it will go into the mortar behind the baseboard. So I think that's how we're going to do it. We saw it at the restaurant. I thought it looked pretty good. I think it'll look better, and I think it'll probably be a little bit easier than trying to cut the wood and scribe it and get it to fit against this rough wall. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm making the boxes for all the receptacles and light switches are going to be mounted on the stone wall. To electrical code, you can't have your junction box be wood. So I'm using metal junction boxes, and I'm building a wooden box that is going to go around them. So this is just 1/4-inch walnut. I have 1/4-inch walnut planks. And they're just going to be simple boxes. I was originally going to do like some sort of dovetail, but I think I decided against it. Maybe on like the main light switches by the front door or something. I'll do some sort of dovetail, but basically it's going to be, you know, a sort of just a walnut box that's looks like this, and then the plate will be on here, so the corners of the box will be flush with the wood. So that's how I'm doing it. I'll put these together, I'll put some oil on them, and then I'll show them once they're on the wall. Okay, so I'm mounting the boxes right now. So this is one of the kids' bedrooms, and I just made these this oak boxes to go around the junction boxes. So I made little ones for the receptacles, and then we have some bigger ones for the light switches that are going to be on the wall in the great room. So it's basically, I mean, I think I talked about this earlier, but you know, I just have PVC to copper, and then I just use some brass, really thin like nuts to secure the copper into the junction box. Pull the wires through. I had to strip them because you can't get a jacketed like Romex through this angle here. So I stripped them all back. And that's basically it. I anchored, I took my grinder and I just flattened out the back wall with it. So the wood box sits flat against the stone. And then I just anchored it in. So it's really solid. It's not gonna move anywhere. And then what I'll do is I'll run my baseboard here. Probably be, I don't know, we'll probably do 6 or 8 inch baseboards. And then we'll backfill this all with mortar. So this PVC pipe, it's loose right now, but it's gonna be all encased in mortar behind the baseboard when I start doing that. So. So these are our switches. These, as I mentioned, they're all the Victorian push button style switches. So the way I did these electrical in this house was I put each room on its own circuit. I put the bathroom, this bathroom, and the attic upstairs on one circuit. The great room is on 2 circuits because we have 3 ceiling fans and 6, 7, 8, 9 lights in here. So 3 of those lights were for the kitchen, and then I split the remaining between 2 circuits. So these switches over here turn on this light and some fans. A quick note, we have 6 of these, or 5 of these lights. These are old schoolhouse lights. I'm sure you guys have seen this style before. But these are actually schoolhouse lights from the 40s. They came out of a school that was they were redoing the whole school, and so we bought the whole lot of them. So they're actually from the 40s, and they're actually from a school, which is kind of cool. So anyway, those are all, that's all the circuits are working in here. So this is a really big box. So we have 2 1-inch copper lines coming in, and I'm not even going to tell you how I pulled this Romex through here. I think I probably have an aneurysm or something after that. So I pulled all the Romex through. This is a junction box. We have 2 1-inch, and then it's going to have 5 switches on it. Great room lights. When you walk in the door, you want to turn on the lights right away. And then we have things like porch fans, porch lights. I put a receptacle on the porch that's on a 2-way switch, so we can like plug in string lights. I can turn on the string lights from here or from the master bedroom. Porch fans are on here. These are all Hunter Originals fans. So they're really cool. These are all cast iron. They're probably 40, 45 pounds a piece. But we have some old, so some of these are old stock, like these ones are new Hunter Originals. So like they're really nice. They're oil bath for the bearings. They last forever. They're cast iron. They're really good. But some of these are actually old. And the old ones we got right on 220. And so we had to the original plan was to have the porch fans be controllable from the main switch by the front door and from the master bedroom. But finding a 3-way switch to switch 220 in that push button antique style, I don't even think they make those. So what we did is I actually found one. This one's old. This is from like probably the 20s or 30s. This is an old porcelain Victorian, I keep on calling it Victorian, but it's probably from the 20s or so. So this is actually for switching 220, 6 amps at 220. So each ceiling fan outside is 1.1 amps at 220. So, or some of them are 220, some of them are 120. So anyway, little things like this were hard to find, I had to think about it after the fact. This little thing costs like $75. We're just gonna be able to turn on the porch fans from the front door, not from the master, because finding a 2-way switch in this Victorian style that switches 220 was a no-go. So anyway, those are all the little things I'm doing. We're gonna have the big switch by the door, the 5-gang is what I was saying, and we have a 3-gang by the back door. I haven't put that up yet. But one thing we're gonna do is one of the switches on the back wall, I'm going to have a lighted path between here and my shop. My shop is probably 100 yards away or so. It's a little bit of a walk. And I'm gonna have light poles in the ground. And then I'm gonna have a two-way between my shop and the house. And that back switch by the back door is gonna turn on that lighted path. So I'll bring it up here. We got these old industrial lights. So these are old, oh, you probably can't see it. It's like a caged light. So we have some of these are kind of industrial. So these are we're using for our attic lighting. And then my attic switches are kind of weird. I made these. I wanted a toggle. I just think it'd be cool to have a toggle. So the upstairs is on a toggle, and hot water heater is installed. When I put in the vaulted ceiling, I ran 1.5 inch conduit on each side. Well, I decided to have more circuits than I was originally planning. I have 4 circuits on this wall, and as well as an 8-2 and a 6-2 and an 8-2 that are going to I can't remember, 6-2 or 6-3, 8-2, 8-3, but they're big fat wires. Those are going to my HVAC, air handler, and heat pump. So trying to pull those big fat lines through, along with the 4 12-2 Romex lines, it was too much for that little 1/2 inch conduit. So if you can see up here, actually, yeah, there's some, you can see it. So I had to run those on the top of the stone wall. That kind of works out because I'm going to be building a little pony wall there anyway, so you're not going to see it. I'm going to insulate it and put a pony wall in. The reason why I didn't run them on this side is because I'm going to be running my black pipe for my propane over to my stove and my hot water heater in the ceiling conduit that's on this side of the great room. And I didn't want to run black pipe in the same conduit with electrical, because that'd just be a no bueno if the black pipe was to leak and for some reason like your electrical wire was jacketed or jacket was off. You don't want to get a spark. So anyway, that whole conduit's just going to be for black pipe. So that's why I ran all my electrical on this side, and I had to compensate and put some wire up here. And I'm almost done wiring the panel. The only thing that's left to put in here is my well pump circuit and my HVAC, and then I'll have one more circuit for my dishwasher, which I think is actually here, dishwasher. So I just need to wire those in, then the panel's done, and I can close it up and clean all this up here. We got our HVAC done. So we have, you can see we have 4 vents in the great room. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each bedroom has its own vent. That's it's typical. The original plan was to actually have a metal spiral pipe coming through this great room, which I really didn't want to do because we're trying to make this look like an antique house, and you can't have a big metal spiral pipe going through. And so what we actually did was we ran a flex tube out on top of the porch roof, over and into this attic space. So we have our air handler over on this side, up there, kind of in the back, and then it also pumps over here. A cool thing that we did, which I'll be showing, right now I'm in the middle of restoring. Here's some. These are old plates that I'm gonna use for my vent plates. So these little rooms, like the laundry room, pantry, and master closet, had these little 4x10 vents. So we're gonna be using these. These ones in the great room are 8x12, and we got some old cast iron. We got some old cast iron plates for those. They're all a little bit different, but they're pretty cool. So I'm in the middle of soaking those in Evapo-Rust and getting all the rust off of them because they're pretty old. And then the ones for the bedrooms we actually got from Pacific Register Co. Those are cast aluminum. They're really thick. They look like cast iron, but they're more cast aluminum. and they are like in the Victorian style as well. So, and for the big air returns, we have an 18 by 18 air return and two 12 by 12 air returns. For those, I found for the 12 by 12s, I was able to get old antique cast iron vent plates for those, or I should call them register covers, whatever you want to call it. But for the big 18 by 18, I had to buy a new cast aluminum one from Regio Registers or something like that. So anyway, that's it. So the HVAC's all installed. I just need to bring power to it. All my cables are running from the panel. I just need to basically hook them in and put the breakers in. All right. Yeah, so also like one last thing was our line set for our HVAC. I didn't want it coming out the gable ends. I'm really not trying to have, so far in this house, we only have HVAC and we'll have propane coming in. Everything else is underground coming into the slab. It really bothers me when you look at the backside of a house and you see like all this stuff coming into the house. Water, propane, electrical, all this stuff. It doesn't look good. So I brought everything into the slab, and the only thing that I piped in was propane and the HVAC line set. So the HVAC line set is actually coming in under our soffit on the back corner. And our kitchen hood, vent hood, which is going to be here, is going to be actually also being the exhaust is going to be going out of soffit under one of the soffits on the back here. And then our bathroom exhaust, actually I have two. Oh, the bathroom exhaust will actually also be going out through a gate underneath the soffit. So I'm just going to try like flush mount vent covers that are going to be kind of on the back side of the soffit, so it won't be too noticeable. So our only roof penetrations are two vents for the septic, or bathroom vents for the two bathrooms on the wall, and then our chimney and hot water heater exhaust.